Hello, welcome back. If you're welcome, whatever the fuck. Anyway, this is my friend Alicia. Alicia, we met on TikTok, and she's a fellow Gen Xer, and it was really special to connect with other Gen Xers on this really cool social media platform. And she is a very vocal DV survivor, self-proclaimed scent master. I'll put her link to her shop in the description below after this. It's called Kinder Candles, and she's also Gen X. So do you want to like just say anything or fucking introduce yourself or whatever?
That was a fantastic introduction. I don't even know how to top that one.
Okay, yeah. So we do have some people. Monica is here, and hello, Amanda. Hello.
I might have a bit of a delay because I am on Wi-Fi, so I apologize in advance if that happens.
It's okay. I'm on Wi-Fi too. It sucks. We each have our matching middle fingers. You can see in the background. This is the person where I got the middle finger from. So there, Mark. Hello, Mark. All right. So I know we just talked about this beforehand, but we connected on TikTok because we're both fucking Gen X and we both have the same sense of humor, and it's just like it's kind of self-explanatory. But also through like anti-MLM, and there's similarities between your experiences and then also being involved in multi-level marketing. So I thought you had made a TikTok, and I wanted to show it with people because there's like a soundbite at the end that is so good. And is it okay if I play that now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to do this.
A conversation that's currently ongoing.
I'm going to rewind it.
This is a spin-off of a conversation that's currently ongoing on Julie Anderson's page regarding anti-MLM. And she elaborated on another comment of mine, and it kind of struck like a resembling nerve with me in a way. I don't do MLM. I actually had tried doing Mary Kay several years ago. And one of the reasons that it was drawing me in was because they were like, oh, you could have financial freedom and think about all of the time that you could spend with your kids and da-da-da-da. And I was a single working parent who could never get, ahead. So I thought, geez, if I could supplement my income, make my own hours and be there for my kids, how wonderful would that be? But the amount of hours that they wanted me to take away from my children seemed kind of counterproductive. They were trying to give me what I needed by taking away what I had asked for. It was insanity. So I didn't last very long.
It's such a good soundbite, that thing. Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's huge.
That was crazy.
So I kind of like to use that as like a jumping off point. Can you share a little bit about your like anti-MLM or your MLM experiences? I want to say multi-level marketing experiences, like just anything that comes to mind growing up, like what you were exposed to, just and then kind of like why you were kind of disillusioned with it.
Yes. So I just, Mary Kay was the most prominent one, or just the one that I happened to get the most involved in. I've realized lately that there was actually a couple others I had been approached for, but Mary Kay was the one I actually involved myself in. And at the time I was very vulnerable. I had just left an extremely abusive relationship. I had kind of gone on the run, so to speak. I had sold a home that I was living in. I quit a job. I got a new one. I went into hiding for a little while. And the person who had approached me about doing Mary Kay was actually my supervisor at the prior job I had been at. And it did actually surprise me that she was involved in something like that, because she is also Gen X and has a very sarcastic, snarky attitude. Her and I get along really well. But so I was surprised that she was coming out all rainbows and butterflies, and Mary Kay is very like, oh, it's pink and we're, and oh my gosh, it's so fabulous. And if I heard the word fabulous one more time, I might have needed to throw up in my mouth. So it was odd, but I thought, geez, if she's going to do this, maybe there's something for me here, So she invited me just to come have a makeover party. And I remember doing them in like my sister-in-law's house. And, you kind of grow up in, the year of like interior design or Tupperware parties and Mary Kay parties, like especially in the early 90s and stuff. That's just kind of like things that you did, right? And so she was like, no, we meet in this like center and we do the makeovers and all this. And I'm like, sure, I'll help you out. Well, her upline was like, oh my gosh, she's like really bubbly and she's a fun person. Like, would you be interested? And so her upline kind of did the initial, you could do this too. And then I left and I was just like, I really don't think this is for me because I'm already stressed out enough. Like I'm already dealing, single parenting, dealing with a crazy person, and just trying to like shake off the trauma and learn how to process, like, what do I need to do, and surviving. I was really just in survival mode is what I was doing. But her and her upline called and said, we'd love for you to join our team and be a part of this. And then you could, think about all the things that you could get for your kids, that you could do for your kids. And then you could have more time with them. You wouldn't have to, necessarily, daycare was a big deal. It's very expensive. And on one income, it's like one whole paycheck to put your kids in daycare here. So it was just being presented as a way to like have some financial freedom and have control. And that was one thing coming from an abusive relationship that you're lacking is control, and you kind of have all of these, shame and guilt and everything. And you're already just so beat up about it that, it's just, oh, I could take control. Like, this is a great idea. And so one of the issues I had was the initial cost. It was like $99 for their kit, but you would get a 50% commission on everything you sold. But you also had to you had to do $200 in sales every month in order to make that 50%. So she was like, oh, I don't have the money for a kit. So she was like, I will front you the money for the kit. But when she said that was like the fifth option, because first it was, can you borrow the money? And I'm like, I just had to cash out a retirement plan and borrow money from my parents and sell a house to go on the run. I don't have $99 to spare. Well, what about putting it on a credit card? I'm like, I don't have any of those either because my credit's in the tank. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul for the last 5 years, like I don't have a credit card either. And then it was, well, do you have a family member that has a credit card? You can make the payments to them. And I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm out of, can you help me options because I had been living such a horrible, life for 5 years. So finally she had said, well, I will be willing to front you the money for the kit. We knew each other. We'd known each other for 6 years. And so she felt comfortable doing that. But she made it like, I'm comfortable doing something like that for you because I know you wouldn't let me down, kind of a thing. So now I feel trapped because it's like, oh, well, I've given you really every real life excuse that I have as to why I can't do this, why this doesn't make sense for me financially. And you've come up with my solution for me. And so, gee, thank you. Like, now, how do I say no to that? Right? Like, how do you walk away from that? So I agreed to do it. And then the next thing I know, it's like, oh, this evening we're having this training class because they want to teach you how to coach for the parties, what to say. They give you the little flip card, tutorial that you can use in the parties and stuff. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is not my personality. Number one, I'm a horrible girl. Like this is not normal. This is video look, but I don't play dress up well. I never have. I was a tomboy. I didn't do makeup. My friends used to do my hair for high school dances. They did them for my weddings. Like, I'm like, can somebody please make me look like a girl? So I didn't know how I was going to pull off being a Mary Kay consultant at all. But, I did probably 3 months in Mary Kay before I just sort of was like, this isn't me and I'm done. I just can't do it. But I earned a little pink butterfly crystal necklace and I was able to convince 2 people to buy a starter kit. They didn't do anything with the business either, but they got the starter kit and that's all I did with it. But it wasn't until I started listening to all of the MLM conversation and the anti-MLM conversation that it really kind of dawned on me like how fucked up that was, like how messed up of an approach that is. I don't even have. Well,
Yeah, it's predatory and like at the lowest point in your life. Oh, I don't want to say it because I don't fucking know, but it's pretty fucking low.
Oh yeah, that was the
lowest.
lowest.
Manipulated, and it was so weird because it's presented to you in this way that I know what it was like because I was trained to do this, where you are giving them the solution, but you want to empower them. Like, is there any way you could earn the money from like selling something or asking a friend or family member or putting it on a credit card? And it's like you are literally on the run. You don't have any money, and it's like, well, okay, well then I'll lend it to you. So they're taking advantage of that relationship, and it's like a supervisor. It's such a conflict of interest, and it's so unethical.
Yeah.
And what I think really struck me when you were telling me this just now was that you still remember that pink crystal butterfly necklace. There's something really special about that. Those little symbols are very powerful, you know?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I found that in the bottom of a jewelry box because I never wore it because it's a little too girly for me. But the other thing that was kind of weird about it is, you know, the butterfly. I think a lot of us girls can kind of go, oh, the butterfly, it's transformative and it's rebirth and all this, you know. And one of the symbols for myself in getting out of that violent relationship was I did feel transformed. I did feel those things, you know, and so I actually have a very large butterfly on my back, but I did a GenX style and that it actually has eyes in the wings because I'm watching my own back. And it's not girly at all. It's actually it kind of looks like a violent butterfly.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, how weird, but to have a pink jewel, you know, necklace, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's really dumb, you know, but I just am not the fluff and pan, you know, just the fluffer kind of girl at all. So it just felt odd. I felt like I wasn't really I'm like, I can't buy into this. This isn't my personality. And I still, the gal that got me into it, like we still communicate. She's, you know, she quit her corporate job and is doing this full time. I don't know how, because it never makes sense to me how you could, you know, the math never made sense either. And I'm not good at math. I flunked a lot of math classes in school. And I'm like, that doesn't look right. That doesn't even make any sense. So, you know, all the respect, you know, as far as her as a person, as an individual, no hate at all. But I see more and more people, like even in my social media feeds, I'm like, wow, they're totally they're in an MLM. And I wouldn't have thought twice about it beforehand, but it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. It's like every second post. And it's like you have to second guess what people's motives are. And I hope that she does get out one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the ones that are like the less than 1%, but it's at the expense of manipulating people like you. Get like that. That's really bad. That kind of thing where you think that that's okay to do. And you think that that's an ethical business practice. And I think it's so cool that even like, despite all of that, you still signed up. But it was like the pink and the girly and the fluff, it was so against your like core identity that you were like, I'm out. Like, that is so good that you got out so early. And I think it's really interesting to hear that it was just so against who you were, that you're like, this just isn't me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of it too, because I had, you know, for almost, I think 4 or 5 years, I had really been trapped in a life that I knew was not mine. It was not mine to be lived. And this is one of the reasons, like, I'm really vocal about surviving a domestic violence relationship, is because that whole entire time, I'm like, this isn't my life. This is not what this was not what it was supposed to be. And I knew that, but because he found me as a very, very vulnerable person. I was coming out of a divorce. I was 22 with a baby at 1 year old. My friends are graduating college and I've been married, divorced, and had a kid. Okay. So like really wasn't doing the things my friends were doing. And so you find yourself very vulnerable and kind of like, wow, I really kind of took a left turn in Albuquerque over there. And so you now have this extra layer of guilt and shame for not keeping the marriage together and dragging a kid through divorce and all that. So somebody who wants to prey on you, they're going to find you at your vulnerability. And that's where he found me. And again, it was somebody I knew. And so there was that immediate trust just because we'd had history. But that's what people prey on. And then I felt like if it hadn't been for that vulnerability and the recognition that I wasn't living the life that I was intended to live and getting out of that, that it didn't take me nearly as long to recognize that when it came to the MLM, because I'm just like, I'm so tired of not living the life that I know I'm supposed to be living. And I'm not going to have a fast solution to my financial problem. It's not going to be, like a lottery ticket. I'm just going to have to work my way out of it. And I'm going to have to make better choices in my life and, not be so dumb sometimes. But yeah, I think in one way that it actually worked to my favor, having been vulnerable before, because I was able to recognize like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So, it worked out. Eventually.
That's interesting because I know in conversations we've had too, where you've brought up the similarities between like domestic violence and multi-level marketing companies, like abusive relationships and multi-level marketing. Like you can see it, and it's true. It's not even the parallels; it's the similarities are crazy. I think you just said it so well, where it's like you were preyed upon when you were at your most vulnerable by somebody that you knew and you trusted. It's like the same thing.
Oh. Yeah, I was absolutely blown away. Just the very first few times that we were trading messages back and forth, I'm like, this feels like abuse all over again. That's what it feels like.
Shit. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah. It blew me away and I think it was actually, so the video that you posted, which is the Friends soundtrack when you were like, I survived an MLM or a cult.
And I like this is like my hat, like my fucking Hun hat. I like to do that.
Yeah. But I was just like, whoa, okay, I survived something, right? Like that whole thing too. And yeah, that one. Yeah. I'm just now seeing the Hun hat.
Oh shit, there's a delay.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love that hat. But it is true, because it was like, as soon as I saw that and I kind of like tied into it, I'm like, well, there's a lot of similarities there. That's crazy. It never dawned on me. And then the more I've been listening and like kind of plugging into MLM and finding Roberta's podcast and listening to that all day long, I'm just like, holy crap. I'm like, wow, that was the same approach that I mean, between getting you in or sucking you in, like how they suck you in with like, it's almost like a treat, or, let me give you this thing. I'm going to give it to you. I'm the only one that can give it to you, but I'm going to slowly start to take some of these things away because this is maybe not exactly the way I want you to do these things. I'm going to take it away. That's the same thing an abuser does when they're isolating you from your friends and family in order to make it impossible for you to have a resource to reach out to. You only have them. And that's how MLM seems to work too, is that they kind of like get rid of anything that doesn't necessarily fit their bill. And then, well, I'm going to give you the problem, the answer, the solution. I'm going to give you all of the things. And so I'll be your only world is almost what it sounded like, and kind of felt like. So I don't know if anybody else has kind of experienced that at all, but.
Oh God, I can't even believe you've articulated that so well. That's like fucking spot on. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, for somebody that has been in like 3 months and have these like sporadic interactions with multi-level marketing, it's like, but it is the same, and it's like using high control groups, or there's a cult expert. Her name is Yanya Lalich, and she calls it like abusive relationships are a cult of one. And it's the same concepts. I was going to read, is it okay if I read some comments?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just realized they were up. So
yeah, so we've got Gen Z in the house. Avery Joe, I know, is Gen Z, so this is awesome because we got all generations here. It's so good.
Fantastic.
Gen Z is fucking smart. They're not getting sucked into MLMs.
Hell
The
yeah.
Direct Selling Association is concerned about the lack of Gen Z getting sucked in.
That's because Gen X is raising them.
Monica says, I still remember Tupperware. My mom did it for a while. Did you ever do or do you remember Tupperware or anything?
I remember Tupperware parties. Well, my mom would have the Avon lady from down the street. She used to come over and do Avon. I think my aunt was into Tupperware, but I remember vividly for us, it was home interior parties. Do you remember does anybody remember home interior? That was sort of like a prize party type setup where they'd bring all their fancy pictures over, and you wanted a home interior picture. In the 90s, you wanted one of them big Thomas Kincaid looking pictures and wall sconces. Like that was the level of adulthood you were going for. And I think about it now, I'm like, that shit was so ugly.
It's why we have such amazing taste now.
Exactly. But oh my gosh, so for me growing up, it was totally home interior. That was the thing. Oh my god.
I remember Mary Kay, but I think, and I have to learn more about Mary Kay, but I think they didn't change to what multi-level marketing is now until it was after 2000, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think they were more direct selling, because I remember my mom had she bought Mary Kay, but there was not this focus on recruitment at all. It was like a one-off occasional time thing. And I remember wearing Mary Kay in grade 7, 1987, and I had my special little palette, and I felt nice, but it was not about recruitment. It was not about this allegiance to this company. It wasn't anything like it is now. So I think it's important, for our generation, people that grew up not knowing what a fucking MLM was, not knowing the definition of a pyramid scheme, not knowing. We just thought it was nice. There was it was cool. You hung out. It wasn't like this recruit. I'm going to manipulate you when you've left an abusive relationship, and I'm going to try to coerce you to ask relatives for money and put it on a credit card, to get a starter kit for Mary Kay makeup.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Well, the other totally messed up part. I want to say hi to Riri because I saw her in the comment section, and we follow each other on TikTok. So I got to say hi to her.
Okay.
But the so this is another red flag, right? I would look at these women who were presenting Mary Kay, and initially some of the first few parties I ever went to, it was just the they wanted to sell you something. But I would look at their faces and their makeup, and I'm like, that looks like a clown. Whoa. I would not do that to my face. And, I felt like a lot of them were trapped in this certain 80s vibe. And I was a teenager in the 90s. So we just didn't have that same vibe at all. And I just remember thinking I'm going to take makeup advice from you. But it was, I wanted to, help my friend or my sister-in-law's friend who's selling okay, we'll buy a product. And it was definitely more about the selling of the product and not about, recruitment. And I feel like that did change because it was the early 2000s when then I got approached and to be recruited and stuff. And that was, it was probably 2005, I want to say 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. And so I think they did have a change because that's what all these training classes were about. Were, let us teach you how to not only present the product, do the parties, have the things, but then here's this whole other side where you can make the most money and get the love checks. That's what they called the residual income that you were going to get from your recruitments were love checks. And they would show you all of that and everything. And I'm just thinking, oh, I gotta sell being a girl. I'm not that great at it.
I think it's so cool that you kept coming back to that. It's this is not who I am.
Yeah.
And you stuck to it.
Yeah. I just couldn't.
That's crazy because it's you were vulnerable. You were fucking vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was too pink. And I don't know. I mean, blue's my favorite color. So it was like this there it felt like there were all these other signs that were basically like, this isn't you. And it felt good to stick up for myself because it'd been such a long time since I had done that, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, that was my life in MLM. And I've got, I know people in Amazon right now. I know people that are still in Mary Kay. And then I saw a comment too. Somebody was talking about having just left Color Street,
Yes.
the nail.
I gotta catch up on
And
the.
yeah, and there
Go,
was
you finish and then I'll read comments.
okay, so there was one other one, well, somebody else that I know, and I think Roberta had brought it up in one of her podcasts about the MLM jumping, like the people who jump
Yes.
from MLM to MLM or whatever. It's like they gain a big profit or they do the first thing and then they move on to the next one. And then it's sort of like the same regurgitate. I found the best plan. I've looked at the numbers. I've done this. And now I'm over here doing this thing. And I know somebody who's doing that. And I'm just like, and now I'm seeing it. And it's, I have multiple streams of income and when you guys like look at what I can do, and I'm just like, now I'm like, I love her. She's a cool person. But now I just kind of want to like,
Yeah.
but I don't want to say anything because it's her livelihood and whatever. That's,
Yeah.
her business. She ain't asking me to do anything. So,
Yeah.
but now I'm like so self-aware that I'm just like, oh my God, what are you people doing?
Yes. It's really cool that you know the red flags now. You knew them back then, but now you know even more. And it's neat that you can start like spotting it. And it's nice that you still have a relationship with her because hopefully at some point she will get out and she is going to need people on the outside of that support her and her friends. They're actual friends without that weird manipulation and that transactional relationship focus. It's hard to unpack from that.
I can imagine that is really hard because you've lived sort of a facade for a really long time. And that's the other thing that I related to just with the DV situation was, all of the people that were in my life were just there temporarily. And it didn't matter. I mean, I was vocal while it was happening. I was just like, I needed that lifeline. Like I needed people to just kind of give me that lifeline. And so I would talk about it. I'm just like, do you realize what's happening here? But I wasn't strong enough to get myself out. I needed somebody to give me a lifeline and drag me out, and that it eventually happened and it made it a lot easier. But then you realize that all of the people that you had in your previous life before you were living that one had to back off because they couldn't deal with either whatever was going on or they didn't want to be a part of that situation. And I see that with MLM too, that there's a lot of people that are just like, okay, are you trying to sell me something? Like, I don't be friends without the gimmick, is that possible? And then, those people kind of exit the life and then you hope that they're there for you. And if they're a true friend, they will be like, they're
there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People understand. That's been when you and you don't need to answer this, let me know if this is too sensitive. When you left that relationship and did you find like friends from before? Like were they there for you? Like, or were you pretty isolated anyway and it was like you had to start over?
No, they were. So I'm extremely blessed in the sense that my 4 best friends that I've had since I was a little kid, they stuck around. They had to take a leave of absence from my crazy train life for a little while. And I get that. And they had their own things to do and they needed to live their life. But when it finally came down to, I'm done and I need help, it was like no time had passed whatsoever. And we're definitely each other's ride or dies in life. And we've had that relationship since we've been like 8, 9, 10 years old. So I was fortunate. I have a very supportive family. And so I got lucky and not everybody has that. So I've transitioned from, yes, this is what happened to me and this is my life and everything, to now let me come and give it full circle and let me support you or somebody else that may be experiencing this. I volunteered for our state's largest nonprofit legal organization. I sat on their board. I met with local people, our, community, our leaders, our politicians, our lawmakers, and just saying, hey, this is important. We need to fund this. This is a big deal it can, and so giving back in that kind of a way to take that experience and turn it into something positive was another way for me to give myself my power back and empower me. I think that when you go through something like that and you just are like, wow, look at all these fake people in my life. I need real people. And then when you get that power back and you have that support system, you can share the wealth, because there's always that silent key that came with those types of situations because of shame and guilt and embarrassment. I'm like, I was an idiot for a while. I'll tell the world that. Like, how else are we going to learn if nobody's talking about it? Like, let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
So I love that this group is talking about the horrible side of MLM, like, because it is so destructive. I just am shocked at some of the stories I'm hearing on podcasts. I'm like, this is insane. I can't even.
It is insane. Okay, I'm going to blast through these comments. This is so awesome. Okay, Monica says desperation makes people do things they would normally not do. I'm going way back. Shadow says to just put your rose crystal butterfly necklace on the card and you'll earn that money back in no time.
Yeah.
Monica says an acquaintance of mine got into Primerica. Oof, I see her post about it all the time now, and it's really annoying. Shadow was in a narcissistic relationship for 19 years.
Oh, honey.
Janet says, reminds me of my first marriage. He was PA, but I've never been in an MLM. Lots of similarities. Sweet Goth is here. Hello, beautiful peoples. Just strutting in.
Hello.
And this is Alicia Kinder, by the way. If you're just coming on here, you're like, who in the world is this?
I know.
She's amazing. Okay, here we go. This is what we need. Odds. This is what you'd mentioned. I just resigned from Color Street for the second time.
Wow.
Congratulations. And it's a big deal. And I hope that you feel free to reach out to pretty much any anti-MLM creator that you kind of gravitate towards if you need someone to talk to, because it's tough. It's tough unpacking this stuff. It doesn't happen. I know when I left, I thought I had it kind of figured out. And then it was like 4 months later, it really hit me and I didn't have it figured out. So maybe it might not be that for you, but congratulations.
Yeah.
And just don't get sucked into another one. You can be really fucking vulnerable unless you get it, so good for you all.
That's fantastic. And, you just said something too about it took 4 months to kind of have it hit you. And that is, to me, that just screams like post-traumatic response, because you're spending like the first, couple of months just going, oh my gosh, and then your life sort of changes because now your routine has changed. Like you're realizing, oh, I'm not in this MLM anymore, so I don't have to do this thing over here anymore. Oh my gosh, I just opened the door up. I can do this thing and I can do that thing and I can do the thing that I wanted to do that I was putting off to do so you find like joy in the beginning kind of, and like this sense of freedom, but then the impact of what you just left hits you. And man, I remember that feeling too. That felt like a ton of bricks. And then I was sad all over again. And I'm like, what happened to my joy? I was so excited about this new adventure, that my life was going to take and that I was going to be on. And then, and I'm like, oh, well, I still have to process all of the trauma. And now I have these little humans that I need to fix too. And I need to help them. And then you realize, wow, just had the big picture of it all. And then you carry that weight too. So finding those resources and those people and realizing that's going to be more like a wave than it is going to be anything else. And you're going to have your ups and your downs. And that just kind of struck a chord with me there when you said that. I'm like, yeah, I remember that feeling too, for sure.
It's wild to me, like hearing you say this from like another like context of experience, because it's like, that's exactly it. I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly it. And but it's like two different experiences, but the same feeling, same reaction.
Yeah. And that's every time I was listening to one of your videos I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. How much this, thanks, Riri. How much that there's those similarities that just absolutely blew me away. I'm like, I never would have put those two things together. It just would not have ever made sense to me to think about those things together. So I'm so excited though that I've found it, and I'm listening to it and I'm just kind of going, wow, because is a healing journey. And I'm about 16, 17 years out of my domestic violence situation. And so I've had a lot of time to kind of like process it. But the things that I had noticed is that it still comes in waves. And there are triggers. There are things that you don't realize maybe are still affecting you. And so anytime I hear the word fabulous, I think Mary Kay, and I kind of have like a negative reaction to it. But then there's other things that I realize, oh, maybe I haven't finished processing that. Maybe I haven't quite finished unpacking that piece of, thing, because you're just so focused on what's necessary right now to deal with this thing right now. And I'm almost 20 years later and I'm still learning and kind of going, oh, that's really therapeutic, or that's really empowering, or that's really healing. And I didn't realize I needed that. I didn't realize I needed to be doing that. So, because you get caught up in your world and your life, and moving beyond it. So it could be something that you end up having these, constant reminders or triggers or whatever, and going, oh, we're going to deal with this again. But you're always going to come from a better space, I think. For sure.
It's so like hearing that you're out, it's like 20 years. I'm just like out for my multi-level marketing double experience just over a year.
Yeah.
So it's still, and it's like heartening to hear my experience mirrored in your words. And also like knowing that you can speak from that place of assuredness years later, because I understand the healing is going to like keep going on. It's really cool that you've turned to advocacy as well, like to help make things, to help others. And for me, it's like there's this added feeling of having an ethical obligation because I was also a perpetrator and I didn't realize I was a perpetrator and I thought I was doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so speaking out like advocacy, wow, I probably shouldn't have been speaking out right away, but it's like, I am, what it's like. You got to fucking do what you got to fucking do.
Exactly.
But when we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And there was a sense of urgency as well, because I'm like, I need to help people. I know that this is going to reach someone and I know other people are questioning.
Yeah. Well, but you seem like you're just going to take the bull by the horns and you're going to fricking go for it, because once you recognize like, holy crap, I mean, you're kind of in a way, the perpetrator piece, you feel like you have an atonement now because you were like, wow, I was totally coached to do this. I didn't realize I was doing such a rotten, horrible thing. And you realize, wow, I was manipulated into this to behave a certain way and then to regurgitate. It's like the cycle, right? Like a cycle of abuse. It's the same thing. And so you're thinking, geez, Louise, I've got to make up for what the fuck I did. And so the best way to do it is to immediately own it and speak out. And then to say, yes, I did this, but I'm here to fix that and let's heal together. And that comes because you're unpacking shame and you're unpacking guilt and you're trying to kind of go, okay, here we are. We're showing up for ourselves, for other people, and being honest and owning it and just removing the guilt and the shame from the conversation. You're still feeling it, but you're here showing up, which is way better than never doing it at all, or just kind of trying to act like you could sweep it under the rug, and we just can't. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes when I tie it into Gen X, it's like, you're always feeling like you have both legs on each side of the fence, right? Like you could go one way or the other, and you kind of have this middle path of like, well, I can see what this person's saying over here. And, oh, I kind of get it over here, and you kind of have this middle ground that for the first time in my life, I'm like, I'm on this fucking side. Okay. There's no there is no other point of view I am willing to entertain at this point. And I realized that that's part of the personality of us, and just kind of like, no, this is I'm gonna actually say something, because this is not okay. And
this is where I give a fuck.
Listen, this is why I make those, so that you can.
That's right.
When you
why? This is why.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Oh, sorry. Sweet Goth says, I was all about the faraway perfume in the Avon. I still have a lotion and a body spray of it somewhere. I have a compulsive shopping problem, which made me the local Hun's wet dream. Monica has a question if you'd like to ask.
Yeah,
How did you feel about having to tell your story while in the MLM? Your tragedy to be vulnerable in the MLM. Did they force you in any way?
No, actually, well, and I'm talking for me. I mean, I'm not sure if Julie has any experience, but I wasn't asked to tell anything about myself to that degree. The person who recruited me, she actually knew my story because she had been my supervisor at a company that we worked at together. I had left that company before she approached me for Mary Kay, but she knew what I was dealing with because I quit that job to go on the run. So she understood. But I've always been very vocal about it. I never felt the need to hide it. And I felt that there was power in sharing it. So it didn't feel, I didn't feel vulnerable from it, I guess, to answer your question. It was something that I survived and that I lived through. And I wanted to empower myself by sharing that, even if, there were times where people kind of look at you and go, well, why? Well, I could give you all the reasons why, but it still doesn't make sense to somebody who hasn't had those experiences. So I never felt forced or, anything along those lines. I mean, all the ladies were really nice, but I just felt out of my depth because, again, I wasn't a very good girl, and they all and I was just like, I like your brow pencil and your foundation. Like, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I can't.
The rest is like, no.
Yeah,
here we go.
I love it. Listen, my two sit on my desk at work, two in front of my monitors, and I've managed to have supervisors and other bosses and coworkers buy them too. They're like, that's excellent. But now I have them in concrete, so they're a little more permanent. If you don't, yeah, the candle is burnable.
I want to bring up odds again. Like, you're getting a lot of love in the comments here. It's not love bombing; it's legitimate support. And I know it's like, if you quit it for the second time, good for you. I'm just going to keep on. It's a big deal. It's hard to do. And, when you leave multi-level marketing, you have different experiences. People have different experiences. But you can, especially now with just being on social media, you have a lot of relationships. A lot of people know who you are. And pushback is quite possible. And loss of who you thought were your friends is possible, and having content made about you is possible too. So please know, odds, that you're not alone. And I know you probably know that, but it bears repeating, because I know I couldn't hear it enough times when I was leaving. I felt really isolated. And like you said, Sweet Goth says, we've got your back. Ray says, Riri, sorry, gonna try and still get those marble candles of yours.
Yeah, those have been fun. They're awesome. It's something my husband and I are doing together. And, yes, and now I'm married to a fantastic, wonderful human that I've known since kindergarten. And he entertains all of my silliness and ridiculousness and my shenanigans. And we make these concrete candle containers. And we've been playing with them in the winter time because obviously we can't run our concrete business in the snow. So he gets to be creative out there with me. And so we've been having fun. And he was actually the one that was like, we're going to need more middle finger molds to pour the middle fingers into and everything. So we've been having fun with them. I'm glad people are enjoying, and seeing them, and yeah, we're just having a blast. So I didn't know that middle fingers were going to be my my mantra or whatever, but it fits the attitude. So I'll
it totally does. Odds is making jokes in the comments, is ready to sign up again. Too soon. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my
and
God.
Here we go. Odd says, thank you so much. I feel to share, because watching all you brave souls is what got me to this place. Bravo. Love, Alicia. Move past the hate. We are healing.
Yes, I love that. That is fantastic. And it is, I was amazed at the kindness of strangers coming out of those, just the just feeling the lowest of low and coming out of vulnerability and just feeling horrible about yourself. You're like, wow, I totally messed this up, and you feel horrible that you've done, that you've continued to remain in a problem or perpetuate a problem. So I was absolutely blown away by the kindness of others and the open arms and the supportive, community, and it just the people around me, and even complete strangers that would help me. And I thought, wow, I didn't realize there were so many fantastic people out there, and I want to be one of those fantastic people, right? Like I want to be able to help others. And that really is part of, I think, our personalities. A lot of us in this generation, we really say we don't give a fuck a lot, but we really do. We care about other people.
Don't give away our secrets.
That's you started it. You're the one who started giving away all our secrets. So we do care, but we're going to pick out what we care, and we might serve it on a middle finger platter. Like, yeah, high altitude potato and candles.
That's awesome.
Oh, I just got an idea for a TikTok.
Yeah, that's right.
That's fantastic. Oh, there's so many awesome people in here. So I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Like that's literally all I do all day. I work and listen to a podcast. And there was a lady that was on there that was telling Roberta about the amount of MLMs that she had joined, knowing full well, like she knows. And her partner was always kind of like, what are you doing? Like they knew that she was going to be vulnerable to falling into that. But it started when she was young, because I think she's probably like late 20s, early 30s. So MLM stuff and these parties were kind of a thing growing up. Like her family were going and doing all of these different parties or whatever. So for her, that was normal. But she had joined like, I want to say like 5 or 6 different MLMs. I mean, is that normal, or is that like a one-off case? Like, what do you?
It's normal.
It's normal.
And sometimes more too. Yeah, because the especially now, and I shouldn't say just now, but even like 10 years ago, it's been forever. But you think there's something wrong with your mindset, or you blame it's like the people were just they weren't your right. They say that your vibe attracts your tribe or whatever.
Oh,
it
God.
my right tribe. They'll say that. It's so bad. So they'll think, oh, I have to go to the next one, and then this one I'll improve my mindset. It's me. I'm the problem. That's what they'll, unfortunately. 5 or 6. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And they're like deep in, because they don't see. Even now, there was a comment on one of my other videos I saw today. They said, I was in this company for however many years, and so I never sold anything, but somebody I recruited sold all this stuff, and it doesn't work for everybody, but it does work for some. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It works for less than 1% of people. But there's this blind spot that we have when we're in it. And even if you exit, people still don't see, like, it's like there's that, we don't see the mathematical flawed formula that is multi-level marketing. And people will think it's their mindset. It's like, well, it does work for some people. It's like, it only ever works for less than 1% across every multi-level marketing company.
Right.
And people will still continue to go into one and another one, another one.
So one of my first vivid memories of, I think probably the first MLM that I'd ever been approached was Amway, but I think they were rebranding themselves. And we were talking about this off camera, and I cannot remember the name. And this was probably late 90s, somewhere in there. And I don't remember where I met this lady. It might've been at the mall job that I had. And she was like, I have a job opportunity for you. So I thought I was going for like a legitimate interview, right? Like I was going to this building to interview with her and her upline, which I don't know if she called it her upline at the time. And I show up and I'm like, oh, there's a room full of people here. Like, this is weird, but okay, let's, I don't like confrontation unless I'm initiating it. So I was like, I'll sit here quietly and I'll see what this is all about. And they started presenting these mathematical figures on this dry erase board. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, I flunked algebra twice and I passed it because I cheated off my neighbor. I flunked geometry twice and I passed with a D because I cheated off my neighbor. But this math doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm like, I don't, because when I'm talking like business math or, like money, financial math, like I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to listen, because now we're talking dollars, right? We're not talking shapes and letters, we're talking dollars. And so I'm watching this person draw this thing, and it was like they were double talking, fast talking, backwards talking, to try and confuse you, but yet show you how it makes sense. And just trust me, this works, was kind of the message. And I remember walking out of there like, there is no way I'm doing this, because if I have to figure that math out, I don't have a neighbor I can cheat off of. There's no way I'm going to pass this. So I left there just kind of like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm going to leave here and be okay with that. And yeah, and then ironically enough, one of my dad's siblings, and then eventually my brother and his wife got involved in it. They've quit and gone back twice, and I think they've quit again. But that's still, they kind of have that. Well, we'll work it. It only works if we work it kind of mentality. But I don't know. It just doesn't sit well. There's something about it that I'm like, this just isn't right. It doesn't make sense. So I guess I do learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that, Dad, I do learn. Maybe the hard way.
I'm so floored at how you get it, like, for not being like so in it. It's just so cool to hear. I'm just like, that's exactly it. I feel so validated. I know others are like watching are like, that's exactly it, Alicia.
I love it. I love it that I love that I didn't have to go through that to like pick up on it, but it really did. It was the parallels of being in an abusive situation, and then recognizing those warning signs and going, wow, that's exactly where you're coming from. And I can relate. Just in that way, I was able to relate. So then I'm like, oh geez, I've been in an MLM before, and I buy products from them, and and I'm like, geez, I've got Unique mascara, I have Color Street nails, I've got Red Aspen eyelashes, Red Aspen fake nails, Mary Kay foundation and brow pencil. And I'm like, sure, I want to help you out. Sure, I want to help you out. Never thinking about actually paying for these products, how that could be perpetuating the problem, right? Like, you're keeping the problem around by buying these products. And I want to see them succeed, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I don't. I want you to fail.
Yeah.
I totally want you to fail at this.
Yeah.
So
and they are going to be failing, because most people do. And it's like, that's the thing. It's like all these good people are caught up in this, because then even like friends and family, and they're good products. A lot of this stuff is really good. And it doesn't even matter if it's overpriced, because it's like, I don't care. It's really good. And I like my friend, and I want to support my friend. You want to support your friends.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
But the biggest joke is that like we're not supporting them. It's like keeping them trapped in that abusive relationship with this illusion that they have a business. And most of that money, they're working hard. They're using your relationship. Most of that money is going up top.
Yeah.
Their uplines are getting more of a cut of the work they did than they are. And that's not right.
No, it isn't. And we had initially, we were talking about this because I'm like, this has a really big impact on small business too.
Yes.
And as a small business owner, and I am like not a great small business owner, right? Like, this just totally started out because my kids are grown. Well, we have one more left out of the 5 that my husband and I share. We have one that's graduating high school this year, but they get to a certain age, they don't really need you so much anymore. So in 2019, I'm like, I think I'm going to make a candle. Like, literally woke up one day and was like, I'm going to make a candle. I tried it once when I was 10. I used a styrofoam cup, a shoestring, and crayon shavings, and I stuck that in my mom's microwave. for 10 minutes. You know,
Oh my God.
like microwaves were new back then, right? Like we'd only had I didn't know. I was like freaking 10. I learned something in the Girl Scouts. I got in trouble and I burned the inside of the microwave, and my parents had that damn thing until like literally like 6 years ago. So when my kids were over there and they'd open the microwave, they're like, why is that black spot in the microwave? I'm like, that's me, you know. That but anyway, so I decided, like, oh, I'm gonna make this candle, and 32 tester candles later, like one actually smelled, like you could smell it. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of math and science to making candles. I should have paid attention in the 2 worst classes. But at any rate, then I had friends that were like, oh, these smell good, I'll buy one. Oh, this is really cute, I'll buy one. And I'm like, okay, let's do it, you know. So I got an Etsy store, and then I'm like, well, they're limiting me. I don't want to be limited. So then I was like, let me grow this, let me do that and this. And really all it is I just want to sell you a freaking candle. I just want to sell you something that smells good, or maybe says something funny, or is totally off the wall. Like, I don't like that common candle that you can get anywhere, you know? So I'm just like, but I don't know how to fucking market myself. I don't know. I don't know how to sell me and my brand or anything. And I'm just like, oh, the whole social media and all that. And so then I started looking at like, okay, these people who sell online and their social media, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, all of this is MLM approach. All of this is kind of in your face, you know, like selling and everything. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. You know, like I need a social media manager that's willing to work for free. But then I'm thinking, okay, all the people I'm trying to connect with, and to like maybe like my page on Facebook, or like my channel on TikTok, or check me out on Instagram. I'm like, you know, it's like, all these people are like, good God, what is she trying to sell me? Because that's how you feel every time. Like that meme I sent you where it's like that best friend from 12, 15 years ago. Like got the MLM behind their back and you haven't seen them in 15 years, right? So that's just what it feels like I'm doing, but I really am not. Like, yes, I totally want to sell you a candle and a middle finger, but I also want to like be friends and like build a little community and hope you like my stuff. And that's awesome. But I cannot figure out how to get away from this, you know, impact that the MLM community has had on selling things to people, because it's been so toxic.
Yes.
I don't know how to do it. And
well, this is one spot anyway. Like a lot of people that have left multi-level marketing companies, and it's like our like anti-MLM support, go out of their way to like promote and support small businesses, because it's like we want it to be for businesses, small businesses. And so this like collaboration is one I want to like promote anybody that has a small business, like, because multi-level marketing is not a small business.
Yeah.
And it sucks that your voice is being drowned out and almost feeling like it's being throttled just because of those schmoogly marketing tactics that you're like trying to fight through. But I'll tell you that no matter what content you make, it will never come across as like a hey hun gross type of post, because it's so obvious. It's so like it doesn't, any small business, it doesn't even matter. Even if they're like, just buy this, this is so awesome. It still wouldn't like reek of the MLM-ness. The MLM-ness, you can tell. Once you see it, you're like, you can't unsee it. You're just like, oh, I don't want to buy it. So yeah, it's hard. Your voice is being drowned out from all these MLMs.
Well, and then here's the other, Sue, like I was telling you too, how like I put on my profile, like I have a small business, but I'm not an MLM. So that I could distinct myself, you know, I mean, not that other than Scentsy, I'm not aware of any other like candle or scented wax type things. And the other thing too, that used to drive me, well, it still drives me nuts if I'm being perfectly honest, is, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I sell candles and I make the little wax stars, and they're like, oh, Scentsy. I'm like, no, no, but that's what they associate it with, because they have, they kind of bought that edge of the warmers you know, like that they have the market for those candle warm wax warmer things. And so everybody just immediately says Scentsy, you know, and so I try not to get my feelings hurt over it, but I'm like, no, it's not. But you know, I guess a lot of people also don't think about the fact that that's an MLM as well, you know, and
they don't get it yet. And it's slowly, like, the education is like starting to it's starting to spread because more and more people are sharing their experiences and piecing things together, like similar to you, you know?
Yeah. I think it's just important to share all of the experiences because that's how we learn. It's through shared experiences. That's how Gen X found each other on social media, was shared experiences. Like, I about fell over when I found you and Nadine. I'm like, they're living my life in different places. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is actually happening. And I used to always say how Nadine was like my East Coast twin. What is happening here? But it's so cool. But because we're talking about them, you know, we're moving all of the things that come with it. And we're just saying, you know what, we're just going to have a conversation about it. But it's been really cool. It's been a fantastic kind of parallel to the experiences that I've had and just meeting new people and making friends with people. And I am loving the opportunity to like just talk because I like to talk. So but I don't even know where I was going with that because I'm also 45 and I lose my train of thought really easily.
It's all good.
I looked at a comment and I'm like, where was I going with that? I don't know.
It's all good. It's the conversation goes where it needs to, you know? So people are looking at your stuff right now. Gwen had said that she had been in 7 multi-level marketing companies at once.
Whoa, really?
This was my coach in 100K Inner Circle coaching, by the way, and she's speaking out. And are you familiar with the Dream podcast?
I'm not. So I gotta write that down. And
this is a gooder. This one's known too. So I believe like Jane Marie is like an Emmy award-winning journalist. Anyway, Jen is going to be on season 3 of the Dream podcast. This is a big deal because it's like speaking out against the high control coaching group both of us were a part of and getting more people like aware of that. But she says, I did an Arbonne party once where at the end I sat down with everyone one-on-one. And this one lady said, I wouldn't say this in front of the group, but I hope you're not losing too much money because these are scams. Oh, she was trying to help you.
Oh, man.
I bet you called her a hater, eh? You hater.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, here we go. At the time, I felt it was so rude, but at the same time, so glad she didn't say it in front of everyone. Yeah, that's the hard thing, right? Like, what do you say? What do you do? We struggle with this now.
Yeah. Well, and those pulling people individually, I noticed that was a tactic too that they used in Mary Kay because they were, okay, well, we're going to start getting everybody's orders, right? You know, or at least documenting your favorites. And they would have you fill out these like contact card things where please write down 10 of your friends or family members that you would like to, you know, gift a free complimentary makeover to. Like, that's the hook, is the complimentary makeover and then they call everybody that filled out like the sheet that they wanted the complimentary makeover. And then when you did the thing and they got you there and then they did their presentation, then it was, how do I separate you from the rest of the people? And they would zero in on the ones that they thought that they could recruit versus the ones that they kind of were feeling like they're not recruitable or they were just here for the free product. So they did a lot of vetting up front. Also, it seemed like, you know, just maybe cold calling because they filled out, I want to win a makeover. Well, let's have a conversation. Then we'll get you to a party and then we're going to see how you behave. And then we're going to see if you can be a hun. Like honestly, oh my God, that just totally flooded back after I read that comment. That I totally forgot that's how they did that, was separating everybody. And then they tried to recruit you because now you got nobody in your ears. Like, you know, your little angel devil on the shoulder, nothing.
Wow. No critical thinking allowed.
No, gosh, no, don't think for yourself because we manipulate you if you do. Wow. 7 MLMs.
And Gwen's as Gwen says, before you put that candle in the microwave, did you make sure the coffee was out, Gen X?
Oh my God.
There's always one in there.
It always, it's seriously, the coffee always goes in there. No, I really pissed my mom off that day. She was cleaning house and she told me to stay out of shit. And I didn't. So I got because rebel. Yeah, that's so funny. I do have perfumes. Oh, you guys are so fantastic.
I'm going to read them out because sometimes there's I've learned from other content creators that some people like have like, visual problems or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's why you always read things out. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I also like add captions as well, like for people that need to read and they can't hear. So Janet says, OMG, you have perfumes. I'm a big perfumer and I'm going to get the discovery set and see which one or ones I like best.
Aw, yay. I love that. I do have perfumes, and if anybody asks, they are alcohol free.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I try to use very good, like very good. Jeez Louise. Way to sell it. All of my products are they're carcinogen free, phthalate free, like they're high quality products. I don't like to put garbage in my stuff. So so I don't use perfumers alcohol in any of my stuff. There's my candle, my sarcasm. And I like to smell good because there's really connection with like scent and memory and triggers, right? Like you can smell something and either be like, oh, that smells so great and have like a great experience or remember something awesome. Or you can smell something and be like, wow, that takes me to a horrible place. And so I make those connections. And so I like things that smell, and I hate buying a candle and then not having it scent a room. Like, why bother? That's just stupid.
I feel so betrayed when that happens. It's like, this is like, what is this?
Betrayal. That's the word. I'm like, wow, that was a waste of $10.99. Like, how dumb, I'm like, ambiance is one thing. If I want ambiance, I'm going to get an unscented candle, but I burn them because we have 4 boys, 1 girl, 4 boys, 2 dogs. No, like, I'm sorry. So I got room spray. I got candles, highly scented candles. Cause boys smell weird.
Jen says, I really had convinced myself that I just wanted to be friends and build a community, but there was always that ick factor that is OMG, but what if they join my team, etc.
Oh my gosh. I didn't think about that. Like there was like, again, Roberta's podcast. I'm telling you, I've listened to multiple shows over the last 2 weeks, but she was talking about, there was a gal on there that came from a military community. And we have a military community where I'm at as well, because we have an Air Force base here. And so we meet a lot of people in the military. And that was the other thing of like, these prey upon these very vulnerable communities, because they can be, you're moving around constantly. And so you want to make friendships and build, friends and all this other stuff. And I never really thought about that because I had the luxury of like literally having the same childhood friends my whole life. And we just tried to do the math. My friend and I were like, how old are we? How long have we been friends? And so I've never really felt that need to build a community of people. So I wonder how I never thought about the impact that has on people who are looking for connections. God, that just feels like a whole other thing to unpack.
Dog is on fire now. Look out. So
she says,
it's like, this is all a big joke. It's actually a recruitment for our new multi-level marketing company. Is
that where that comes from? The whole to pay Betty
That's like marked up high enough. So then it's all going to be paying your upline and the uplines and the uplines.
Fantastic. I am my own upline.
That was a legitimate small business. There are no uplines.
Right? Like, seriously, like I don't want to involve anybody because get out of my space. But also at the same time, no, that's hilarious and also quite sad. And no, you're financing me to buy more candle shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm literally every purchase that I get is like, sweet, I get to pick out another cool scent and maybe get another awesome trinket. So yeah, and by trinket I mean more candle shit. So yeah, I just honestly, they make me feel good. They gave me a creative outlet. They gave me the kind of that part of myself that I had cut off when I started to have kids, because kids are a lot of work and they really make it challenging for you to have anything nice, especially boys. So I just, kind of set the creative side of myself down for a really long time. So it felt fantastic to be able to kind of just go, I just want to create something. And then people liked it. So that's it. That's all I'm doing. That's just like, hashtag call your candle dealer. I want to make you feel good. I'm giving you something good to smell and selling you middle fingers. That's it.
Yeah. And the middle fingers. I love the middle fingers. I have this in every video now. Now it's like a standard thing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. When you showed that to me, I just died. And I laughed so hard, and I'm like, no one else is getting this. There's nobody else here to enjoy that at all. I know. I sent them out to a bunch of people too that really, I felt connected to, or that did a lot of orders, over the course of the last year. So I sent all these people their middle fingers, and I absolutely loved the reactions that I got. It was fantastic. So, what does Monica say?
Monica says, unlike the MLM, you have the creative control with your candles. So you decide what you want to create, what scent you want to make, how much you want to sell them for, all of the decisions. But when you're in a multi-level marketing company, it's like, it's when we're in it, we think that it's our small business, but you don't have any of that creative control. You don't have any of it. You can have creative control creating content, but even that can be kind of stymied. Like you need to say things in a certain way. So, but you have because you're an actual business, you have complete creative control, which is important because that's what you wanted to do. And a lot of multi-level marketing companies will also prey on moms.
Yes.
Because of that same thing. They want to have something for themselves. They want to have something nice. They want to have a creative outlet.
That's so true. But, I didn't even think about that either. And, because some of it, I'm like, honestly, I'm just freaking winging it. I really am. But I didn't think about what that means because they do kind of coin it as like, here, you're going to have this small business. It's totally yours, right? Like it's yours to have, but it really isn't. You're not even being paid a wage really to sell their product, which, I mean, you could go to Sephora and get paid minimum wage to sell somebody else's product, which without the recruitment crap, like, wow, I didn't even think about that. That's true. Like you don't have that creative control.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm frustrated by having that creative control because I'm like, I don't know. Like, let's just see. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see if people like it. We'll see if this works. We'll see if this price point works, or whatever, and go for it. But I guess I've never thought about that before. Damn, man, these MLMs are really fucked up.
They are. They really are. This is so helpful though to hear like your experience and then like the similarities between like your like DV.
Yeah.
It's just wild. And you're coming from a real place of I don't know, 20 years out, it's a big deal. I was going to ask you like two things here. The first is where can people find you? I'm going to put all your links in the description, but where can people find you on social media? And also where can they buy your shit? That's the first question.
So on I feel like I have way too many social media, but you can find me at Kinder Candles on Facebook. I have a page there. You can also find me on Instagram. I have a page there, and I think it's called Kinder Candles also. Like I should have wrote this shit down.
It is called Kinder Candles because I always am looking at it on Instagram.
But you gotta spell Kinder Candles with a K. It's Kinder with a K and Candles with a K. And then I'm also on TikTok as Kinder Candles channel. If you want to see my personal shenanigans, You can also find me as Hey, It's Me, Kinder Candles, and my personal. I do have 2 TikToks. I try to keep my
I didn't
personal.
know that. I didn't
I
know you had
do.
2 TikToks.
I
Shit.
do. I
I'm
know.
such a
Well,
bad friend.
they force you, like all of these social medias, they force you to have, they don't force you, but they don't push your business content crap out if on your personal stuff, right? And then I don't want to feel like an MLM, like, hey, I'm just here to sell you something. Like I'm here to like be left unsupervised and play shenanigans on one side and then, the business on the other side. So I really kind of separate them for that purpose because I felt like I was being an MLM, like that MLM tactic. Like I didn't join this just to be selling you shit, but I had to join TikTok because I got banned on Facebook for saying the F word.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. That is like the Gen X way.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God, that's so awesome.
I know he was my Gen Zers like, you should go on TikTok. So he got me started. So it just really is. So
that's our home. That's the only place we've been able to feel accepted. It's the only place I was feeling accepted. I'm like, I can be myself there,
Honestly. Yeah. So he got me started and then he got embarrassed that he actually showed me how to do it. And then my husband's like, you have how many people, and I'm like, I'm small potatoes, man. You should see some of these other people out here. But, and so, yeah, I have 2, but my Kinder Candles name is like, you'll find me if you look it up that way. And then I do have,
can you send me the links to, I have your link on TikTok, but the Kinder Candles link for TikTok, because I want to make sure I'll post that for everybody to see.
So I'm totally going to have to look it up. This is how I manage. This is how a small business manages themselves. They're extremely overwhelmed by the whole thing. So for Kinder Candles, it's at Kinder Candles channel.
Okay.
Is the TikTok one. Okay. I do have a website. My websites are linked into all of my social media through PopLink. I have an actual legitimate website. It's through Shopify. You can find me at kindercandles.com. Candles with a K. That's the only difference that you need to know. And if you Google #call your candle dealer, you will find all kinds of fun stuff. That's my hashtag. Because I'm trying to sell you stuff that makes you feel good.
Right. You have an Etsy shop? Monica was asking if you have Etsy.
I started with Etsy, but they limited how many different variants I could have. And I'm like, I don't play that game. Like this girl's going big or going home. So I ended up getting my very own website. So if you go to kindercandles.com, you'll see all of the crap that I have out there. And it's a lot. I have a lot of stuff. So I'm working on body wash right now. I've been using it on myself. I do not test on animals. I test on myself. So I just anything scented product wise, I'm trying to do it. So you can find me in all those places. And I try to be on there, but I spend a lot more time on TikTok than Facebook because Facebook.
I know because there's some people that aren't. And so we know Janet's like, I don't do the tickety talks because it's too confusing. Like I still don't know how to post on Instagram. I know we understand but we're here. We're everywhere. You'll find we're on YouTube now. We find each other in the end.
We do. We absolutely do. It's like the best. Who's the guy? Why can't I think of the guy's name that did all of the 80s movies? The like Molly Ringwald shit and the who was that guy that everything works out in the end?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what it feels like. Our Gen X community.
Yes.
TikTok. I'm like, I found my people.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
just crazy.
Jen says that's actually great marketing to use the letter K. Do you remember that training, Julie, that Ray did about the letter K and the link to the Kardashians? I remember so there was a training, but you know what I remember, Jen, is that this is the training I remember, that he went to some big training and there was a woman that invented Spanx. And this is what I remember. I might be totally fucking this up. It was that there was this letter K. If you use the letter K in your marketing, so like the group that we're a part of was called Rank Makers. Mm-hmm. So because you've got like Kinder Candles, oh my God, This is the sign. According to the prophet, like you have struck gold.
Oh my God, take advice from that guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like ignore it. Oh, Tanya Elizabeth, John Hughes.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, that was gonna drive me nuts.
So embarrassing. We don't have a clue.
Oh my God. Well, I know, like something that was so monumental in your adolescence, you can't remember the fucking name. Seriously.
Hell yeah. I love layering my perfumes. I love body wash and body lotion. And it's hard to find a great perfume that has body wash and lotion.
Yes.
And so Janet is like, please, please, please get body wash and body lotion.
Honestly. Okay. So I was just looking up how to make body lotion. I'm just going to go for it. But here's the thing with that too. Cause like my husband has super sensitive skin. Like he has psoriasis. He has all these allergies and all these weird things. And so a lot of things that we have to do are just boring for him, non-scented, nothing, everything has to be plain Jane. And I'm so the opposite. Like I like everything to smell good or whatever. And I like people to walk into my home and be like, wow, it smells fantastic in here. I want to create a very homey feeling. I want people to feel welcome and immediately invited and like they could sit down on my couch and take a nap if they wanted to. Like that's the feeling I want to give people when they come into my home. And that's how I want people to feel when they're putting on perfume or they're doing lotion or whatever it is. Like I just want people to feel good. And one of the things that drives me nuts about some of the bigger box stores, BB&W, the big ones, their lotion is greasy. I'm sorry. Their lotion is greasy. And I don't know, like I just got disenchanted with them. I don't really know a whole lot about them to really like talk smack. They definitely have cornered a market. But I just had my first Lush experience in our downtown area. I've never been to Lush before. And now I'm ashamed to say that I hadn't, but I'm like, I want to be the next Lush, but I just want people to feel good. And it makes me feel good to make these things. And that's all I really just want to share is this is something that made me happy to do. And I want you to feel happy when you get it and when you wear it, when you put it on, or when you burn the candle. That's really all it's about, is making people feel good. And that's why I'm trying to do it. So, but yeah, my husband has sensitive skin. And I thought maybe I could come up with something that he could use that would smell better than nothing. Being perfectly honest. And yeah, so that's what I started. I'm like, well, let me test this out on myself and we'll see how it goes. And I will say, I haven't had to put lotion on in like 5 weeks with the body wash that I'm doing. So
wow.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see.
exciting.
I don't know if anybody else is going to react that way, but we'll see. So if anybody wants to volunteer for, if they look at my website, I am doing free gifts all of the month of March. And if anybody is interested in one of those free gifts being my first version of a body wash, let me know and I'll put that in your box and you can try it out, because I'm not selling it yet. I need more people to put it on their skin.
That's so cool.
Well, I work for an insurance company too. You'd think I'm opening myself up to a lot of liability here, but
here we go.
Oh yeah. Volunteers distribute. You're awesome. Man. You guys can message me too on any one of those platforms, or even through my website. You can direct chat me. So if you seriously are volunteering for that, by all means, send me a message and we'll figure out a way to make that happen. Yeah,
I think you're going to get inundated with some messages after this. This would be nice. Be good.
I'm here for it. That's cool. I sit on my couch for a long time in the evening.
It's good to like chatting up. It'll be great.
This is so fantastic. I love this community. I feel such a connection with all of the people who are coming out of these, MLM and are looking for something completely different and that are supportive of all of this and want to hear stories and stuff. I'm just completely blown away. And odds, is it odds? Is that how you say that? I probably I'm saying that wrong.
That's how I've been saying it, but I'm not sure. Odds or odds. I've been saying it odds too. If we're mispronouncing, we apologize.
Yeah,
you
do I
ship
ship to Canada? I do. And I feel really bad for all of my Canadian friends because your shipping is really insane.
Yeah, it's shipping sucks in Canada.
$21 just to ship a box. Like, so I had some people that were getting together with like their friends and they were putting a bigger order together to kind of like share the wealth of the cost. So yes, I mean, I am, but I'm going to be perfectly honest. I got a message that said I needed to add a couple of things to be compliant with Canada shipping. So that might be a work in progress, but yes, I've been trying to expand my branches. Aw,
there we go.
you gotta
Janet
read
said,
that one.
let's get paid tomorrow. I'm going to definitely send you a message tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that tremendously. Thank you.
So this is the second question that I'd like to ask you.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to, you're so encouraging, just with sharing your experience. Would you have any advice or supporting words, that you would give someone that, like, the way you described it was like you needed like a lifeline and someone to drag you out. If you could, like speak to someone similar in a similar situation, whether it's like what you went through or even just seeing now 20 years out and like seeing with tying these things together with multi-level marketing, what would you like to say to people just to give them some hope?
So I will, the one thing that I feel like, yes, the lifeline, I just needed somebody to give me that lifeline or that one opportunity to kind of like walk through a door that led me to the opposite direction so that I didn't find myself kind of trapped in like Groundhog's Day, like Gen X movie reference of Groundhog Day, just that repetitiveness, because sometimes it's easier than to shake the beast or to pull the carpet out and flip the life upside down, right? Like it's easier to just pacify instead of, rock it. And, but there's always this little piece inside of yourself that is telling you this isn't right for me, or this isn't okay, or this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And so my advice would be listen to that voice. You do have instinct and you do have a gut. And sometimes you're not always hearing it, but it will present itself in time and in situations. And when it does, you need to listen to that. And then you have access to a World Wide Web. I did not have access to a World Wide Web when I was dealing with my situation. The internet was AOL dial-up, and I didn't own a computer, and there was no such thing as a cell phone. So you have access to information. If you have the ability to do that, and then use it to your advantage, but always listen to your gut. It is talking to you. And if you need a lifeline, or you need encouragement, you have a very large community right here that's willing to do that. And I will help you do that. And I didn't even get trapped in one for a really long time. So, but I would be happy to be a lifeline if that's what's needed. So listen to your instincts.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. I'm going to wrap that up, end it on that note. That's powerful. Listening to your instincts. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate you being supportive of me. And I look forward to this whole new group of people that I get to become friends with. So thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate you so much spending time here, engaging in the comments and supporting each other. I really appreciate you. And I will see you in the next video.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.